Well, the first thing that people point to almost universally is the U.S. understanding of religious freedom, the separation of church and state. And I think that's been a mixed blessing. I think it's been good in the sense, to the extent that the Catholic Church in the United States has taught Catholicism worldwide that it didn't have to embrace monarchicalism and state-sponsored religion in order to resist secularism. And that were the two alternatives in France and throughout Europe in the 19th century were either monarchicalism or militant secularism. And Catholics in the United States said, well, look, we don't have to choose between those two unfortunate alternatives. Monarchicalism was a problem because the church lost its freedom when it was controlled by kings. But militant secularism was a problem too because the church lost all status or play in society, or at least that was the attempt in the French Revolution, and one way or another has been by a lot of strongly militantly liberal or secular governments since. American Catholics were able to tell people in the church that those weren't the only two alternatives. And over the course of the 20th century, helped the Catholic Church worldwide to embrace religious freedom as a principal tenet. On the other hand, the downside of that has been that in rejecting monarchicalism on the one hand and virulent militant secularism on the other, American Catholicism has invited Catholics to embrace the kind of what was the so-called moderate liberalism of the British and U.S. constitutional tradition. But I think that the claims of that are equally, more subtly, but equally contrary to the gospel as well, in the sense that it calls upon Catholics to accommodate themselves to a political and cultural order which places its premium on freedom, and not freedom ordered to truth, but freedom for its own sake. And whenever we do that, we risk losing our ultimate goal. And I think that's what's happened politically. We were talking minutes ago about how young people just succumb to moral relativism and religious relativism and so on. And the reason is because it's instilled in them by a pluralistic society that says, in effect, what you choose to do is fine so long as you don't prevent other people from choosing what they choose to do. And what you wish to believe about God is fine, well, so long as you don't impose that belief on other people. I think those are dangerous tenets precisely because they lead to a kind of aimlessness that then makes us more susceptible to the forces of the market and the state, which in a way robs our freedom